Hello everybody, welcome back to SketchCraft Live. Today I'm going to be inking and shading this Spider-Man you see here. So what I have is a commission for Superior Spider-Man. Oh, by the way, Brandon will be joining me shortly. He keeps me saying 20 minutes or so, and then 4 hours later he shows up, so we'll see. In the meantime, this is a commission for Superior Spider-Man. And what I've done is sort of my newest little technique. I'm gonna do more digital drawing over the next year. So what I've been doing is just getting my digital drawing chops back up. So I actually draw this digitally now, and then I'll print it out and do all my thick and thin and shade manually. So you get some nice pencils and some final inks. I found that the longest part of drawing digitally is the thick and thin. So if I can just do that digitally, traditionally, then I get, and the shade as well. The pencil shade is really important to the Copic process for me. So this benefits everybody. It means that I can get the drawing that I want, and I can continue to build a lot of the same projects over and over. Kind of similar to how I did the Batman. Actually, it's the same process, more or less. So basically, I drew this in Photoshop CS5. I might show more of that process in the future. I might just do screen recordings or something. I don't know. When I'm drawing, especially in the conceptual phase, I don't like a lot of prying eyes. Still a phobia of mine. Coloring, painting, inking, I don't really care about. But for some reason, when I'm drawing it, it's an issue. So I am working on a way out of that. In the meantime, I've drawn this all with a 5 or 6 pixel brush. It's basically not pixel brush. It's the basic hard brush in Photoshop. Long as your image in Photoshop is 3,000 by 4,000 pixels wide or more. That means if you have 6 by 9 at 300 dpi, and that comes out to be about 1,200 by 2,000 pixels, you need to make sure your working area is 3,000 by 4,000 pixel wide at the minimum to get drawing in Photoshop that'll look like you actually inked it. So I draw at least 3,000 by 4,000 pixels wide, and then that usually ends up being by 6 by 10, the comic book proportion, 6, or in this case, a 6 by 9 because it's more squarish, at about 4 to 500 dpi is usually what that math turns out to be like. And then as I'm drawing, I'll unsharp mask 3 or 4 times. So if I'm drawing with the pixel brush and I like the final piece, I'll sharpen it with the unsharp mask in Photoshop 3 or 4 times, which crispies the line up. That's why I call it crispy. And then when everything's said and done, I just print the thing back out, and that's what you see here. So it's not really a complicated process. Now, when I do print it out, a couple things to make note is it won't extend the edges out. See, there is, even on my printer, it won't print the full bleed. So I just have to manually come in here and sketch this all back in. Oh, here's Brandon on the phone giving me some useless excuse. And he says he has to reboot. Just tie it back. Okay, so I'm going to take really quickly a 2H pencil. This is a standard lead holder, and just come in here and kind of complete some of his little, whatever you call this, um, his little arachnid art. I thought these were the same things. I didn't know he had these for Superior Spider-Man. I don't really read Marvel comics anymore, so I'm not familiar. I mean, I'm familiar with the costume because I see cover art and stuff, but I was unfamiliar with that it could do this, which I thought was cool because I was gonna also, I have about 2 or 3 more Spider-Man I have to do for Game Cave, so I was going to draw the spider armor, and now I don't have to because this gives me that nifty little look. Instead, I'll probably do a 2099 and then a symbiote outfit for Spider-Man, and pretty easy stuff. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start thicken. I found that it's easier to do thick and thin, and then to go and add a bunch of little noodling details and stuff after the fact. So you just grab a piece of scratch paper here. And the inks I use are Holbein inks. Holbein. This little sucker right here. It's good enough for Miyazaki. It's good enough for myself. I haven't actually inked in weeks, so I'll just take a couple practice strokes here. And I like to put the ink in a small little container. Like, I use these little tiny containers you see here, these little minor things. I want to put that right over the drawing. And then I'll add like a few drops of water just to kind of loosen it up a little bit. Let me just go in here and stir it up a little bit. It's been sitting for a couple days. Not too much, just a couple drops to loosen it up. Otherwise, it can be hard to flow, especially when you start using a nib. I can never get the nib to work, and then I realized one day maybe the ink's just too thick. And so I added a little bit of water, and I was like, hey, look, it flows. Fucking retarded. So, yeah, shit they never taught me in art school. They were like, use a mouse. They didn't even care for Wacom tablets when I was in there. And I had a Wacom tablet. Alright. So, I'm just going to go in here and start to just pop out. This brush I'm using is a #2 Kolonsky. It's really nice. It's a little expensive, around the $12 range, but it's a nice sharp point, and I can feel. It's really important to me that I can feel the brush actually touch the paper. I tried one of those little Pentel brush pens, and I could never feel when it was touching the paper. I was like, man, I could see people attain great results with this, but I can't feel anything. It's not even like drawn on a Cintiq where it's gliding. It's literally just was like, look, I can't feel anything. Ah, shit. It's all right. The trick to remember is everything's fixable. And you're gonna want to let that dry a little bit, FYI. Told you I'm a little out of practice. Thank you, Shani. Uh, take your time. Lots of practice. Thank you. There's a little bit of hair on the mess. I'm actually used to using microns for all this, but I want to get really good with nib and brush. So I'm tired of buying micron pens, and I'd rather just be able to control the brush and the nib. So I've given up on pens. I'm not allowing myself to use them.
I hopped on, Rob.
Hey, hold on. When you talk, it'll jump over to you.
I know. Uh, yeah, I restarted my computer and then it wouldn't even open the Internet Explorer, so I had to restart it again. Weird. Using a brush or the quill thing? Or the.
Brush. Use the quill for all the lines that I need, like the thinner.
Uh huh.
So first I'll start off with the brush, get all the thick and thin. Then any extra details and those little overlines I like to do, I'll do with the nibs. Best of both worlds. The drawing part doesn't really move any faster, but I don't even care anymore, you know? I just want it to look like how it looks in my head. I'm not concerned with making it go faster. Considering guys put, you know, I know those guys out there who take 3 days to bust out one drawing, you know?
Right.
And so I don't give a shit. Man, tracking on a Spider-Man this weekend, they're saying it could be at least 60% fall off. I was reading the whole thing on New York Times about it because Neighbors is tracking so high and word of mouth on the new movie sucks. And they're like, well, they're basically looking to overseas. And I'm like, yeah, expect Spider-Man to go to China in Spider-Man 3, where the Sinister Six will. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they'll make Craven like a whatever Mandarin warrior, you know, so they can get a Chinese tax credit. I mean, that's what Transformers did. Why do you think they're in China? I mean, when they were in China in the second movie, they didn't go to China. They were in Jersey. You know,
hmm
that wasn't really China in that movie. Why do you think they're in China now? And they have like Chinese actresses to get these Chinese tax credits.
Spider-Man 3, The Exchange Student.
Mary Jane Wushu shows up, you know? Zen or something. We're actually diversifying the cast, you know?
Right.
All I know is that Heavy Airhead's all butt hurt because they wrote that whole thing on how like he quit Marvel when they decided to go solo because he wasn't gonna get crazy producer points. That's why he left. It was over money. I don't give a fuck, you know?
Right.
They probably said like, look, we're not paying a bunch of people and stars and shit. You know, it's going to the company to fund the movies. And he was like, well, I'm Avi Arad. I'm producer, Hollywood mogul, something or other. And everything he's done since then fits that mo, bro. Spider-Man will never team up with the hero unless he is the star. You know that shit.
Right.
That dude reminds me of fucking the Salkinds, the guys who originally produced the Superman movies.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. Hey, I was looking at I was cleaning out some books yesterday, and I have my Comic Con books from 2002, 2004, 2005 when I submitted stuff for the fan art section.
Uh-huh.
So fucking horrible, dude. You know? I mean, it's so bad. I mean, I don't even like that lay I did on the recent Copics. I only was like trying to rush through getting shit done.
Mm-hmm.
So that one never sells. It sells in packs. So I'm gonna retire her and redo Leia the way I wanted it to fucking look. Asshole fucking dickweed telling me what to fucking draw, how quick to draw it. On the website, my search sample's printed, so that's on its way.
Nice.
We had to do math on some of the fulfillment for that t-shirt shit, because the guys I'm going through will be handling everything, and old fucking Josh threw these guys free prints when they buy a t-shirt. And so I'm gonna be like, look, you can either A, get a download link to my fucking last sketchbook, or you can get a refund, you know? But you can't get these prints because I'm not fucking shipping things twice. It's really that simple. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to put a deadline. And yeah, I know this shit's broadcasting. I can give a fuck less. My life's an open book, man, when it comes to my work.
Right.
You know? I don't give a shit. If someday I'm listening back to this shit in court, let it be known that fucker, you know?
Yeah.
I hope we do. You know? And I hope I fucking go after his ass criminally, you know? So I got some shit in the works. These only get watched by about 100 people anyway. I did start doing speed renders of Venom. So
Nice.
I'm hoping to be able to record commentary this week on that and get that out. Look at that. It's working. Yay. More or less.
It's pretty.
I mean, when the guy who's like how to ink a DC Comics writes a book and it's the same fucking process, you know, with he's not even drawing his backgrounds, it's SketchUp. I'm like, well, you know, I don't need someone to do this for me. I can ink it myself. Every mistake I ever made in my career came down to thinking I needed someone to help me with something, because that's how the industry says.
Right.
And then they do a poor job and I have to take over, and they're like, oh, you know, Rob tries to do everything himself. I'm like, no, you had a job. You did it poorly or not at all. Like that's how it works, you know?
Right. It's funny. I was telling Jess, my wife, last night. Uh, we were looking at a piece of art, and she goes, "Oh man, he did good colors on that. Not you, but another artist." I'm like, "He didn't do the colors on that." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Babe, 80% of these artists don't ink or color their own stuff. They don't know how, or they don't do it." And her mind was just like, you could just see when someone just shocked. She was like, "What?" I was like,
She's
"Yeah,
graduating art school, bro.
right." But I'm talking about the comic book world. She doesn't realize that
So, I
these
mean,
artists.
in fucking 4 years, you don't have a conversation in one art class about how art's actually made in production?
No.
You understand how
Yeah.
fucked up that school is?
Right. Yeah. And so I told her, I was like, listen, me, Rob, and I named like another artist she knows. I was like, we're the only ones who. I mean, I'm not the best, but at least I still try to ink and color my own stuff. I go, but everybody else, they just do pencils, and then they hand it off to someone else, an inker, or sometimes a colorist will just go straight over the pencils. So she was just like, really? I was like, yeah, it's like that's a lot of the people in the comic book world. They'll do loose pencils, and then a
Yeah, well, there's
colorist will
no
go over it.
time.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't colors to begin with, you know? Hey, what's up, Scott? I know, but that's when it's like, I don't want to hear Rob complain about the art school, but I'm like, you need to realize what's going on, you know?
Right.
In 4 years, someone with as big as comics should have I mean, at some point, someone drew something and colored it, dude, at an art school, you know? And they should know what production's like. And you know why they don't talk to you about what production? Because most of them never even done anything. Most of those people there have never done anything, you know? The only
Right.
ones that generally have done something are people who had jobs in games careers and they got tired of fucking getting laid off all the time, so they found a place where they can just have a regular job and teach about developing games, you know? I
Yes.
know, I've seen every fucking version of it there is. I was there. I dragged this shit out 5 fucking years plus, you know? And if I could have drugged out 10 years, I would have, you know? I turned a 3 year program into almost a 6 year program because I was like, these fuckings. And I got locked into all the old pricing so they couldn't jack up the pricing on me. Then I'm like, well, now I'm just gonna take my sweet fucking time. You know, I'm in no hurry. I got on with my career. you know,
Right.
well, I didn't wait to get a job. Like that's like, well, I'm gonna have to get a job now, and I can just bide my time. You know, yeah, most people don't even know. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's as I always say. Uh, if you're a penciler and someone colors your stuff well, you know, the colorist generally gets the credit. you know,
Right.
because they go, oh, he didn't do it. Oh, the colorist did that. Oh, so he did nothing. You see what I mean? Like,
Right.
if they color it incorrectly, guess who gets the credit? The
Yeah.
shitty artist.
Yeah.
you know. So I was like, well, since I'm not getting credit anyway, I may as well fucking. I mean, if I'm gonna, I'd rather just get the credit for myself. That's how I sort of worked it out. I'll just fill those in. I don't give a shit. Does it make it look better? It'll help pop it. It depends. Like, I'll tell you right now, Scott, it doesn't matter for like coloring in that. Look at like Chamba. He has one single line weight, you know?
All right.
But when it comes to these markers and everything else, I just think it looks more complete, you know? So, I do have like I have now built levels. So like all the art going inside Game Cave, if it's digital, you know, it's either going to be one of two kinds. It's going to be like a rough concept piece, like kind of like how I did the you know I did this Killer Instincts, the roughies. Maybe a little bit more effort than that, Brandon, you know?
Yeah.
But it'll be like that, or it'll be like the line arts, like literally like this with no thick and thin. I'll just do like a cell shade on top, you know? And then the super line weights that I do for like the cover arts and the pinups will be just, you know, those pinup pieces, you know? So, but this is also because I want to be able to have, you know, final pencils to sell too, you know? So I'm doing the line weights, so this is kind of a bonus. I think I want to get good with the brush. I don't like being limited.
Right.
I stand by that, by the way. You know, my diversity and abilities here is the only thing that has kept me viable. You know?
Yeah. No, I mean I agree because I know I'm not there yet, but that's one thing that I've always tried to do, even as I'm not the best at it, is try to be, you know, able to try to ink and color. And maybe I still don't know the colors,
You
but
don't.
I'm trying.
All you
Trying.
gotta do is learn some basic color theory. Your choices are based on things you like, and they're actually not based on common sense.
Right. Like lime greens.
But you have good, yeah, but you have good taste when you look at something, and you know what I mean? Like when you say, "Hey, I like the colors in Kill Bill," but you don't understand what's going on. You see what I
Right.
mean? You just like it. So you don't have poor taste, you just have poor execution, and that comes from a lack. Well, what do you want me to do? You want me to fucking tell you how great you are?
No, it's the truth. I mean, it's like that conversation we had last night. It's like the stuff you're naming off, and I tell you why I like it, and you're like, yeah, that's why it's badass. I just when it comes down to me doing it myself, my brain just goes, nah, you're a dummy. You don't know. So I just got to learn it. I
Yeah,
know.
you can train, but you need to listen to what I tell you to do because I can show you what I was doing 10 years ago, you know? And it
Right.
isn't this by any measure. And I can give you the shorthand, but I can't give you the fucking time in, you know? And the application. You can agree with me all day long and actually believe I'm right, you know? And
Right.
still accomplish jack shit, you know? And I would start very simply. If you just want to start to get a very basic understanding without doing a ton of book work, is to start to keep a nice catalog of photo ref, you know? Like even if it's from DeviantArt, like people take photos, you know?
Right.
Nice sunsets, skies, landscapes, you know, things that are strong contrast. Never, you want magic hours, you know? You want dusks and sunsets, and if there is a high noon, you want to shift it not directly at 12, you know, like a 10 a.m. or a 3 p.m. And then start to paint those out in values and start to paint them out in color, you know? Start replicating so you can start to learn what's going on in the shadows. Start to study other artists. Are the shadows purpley? Are they blue? You know, what are you know, there are tons of things you can do, man, that you don't. And just sitting there and think you're gonna figure it out when it's time to color up Magneto makes no fucking sense.
Right.
Mhm. But commissions get the full treatment, you know? They get pencils, they get inks, they get fucking Copics. Otherwise, what's the point? I'm not going down on my prices, you know?
Right.
Prices will only go up, but you will get something special. You won't get Rob's fucking, I got your commission done, please buy another. And it's got to be the same process every time. Otherwise, I run into fucking, it's not experimentation time with commissions.
I'll be right back.
Sure. Thanks, Joseph. No, it's Superior Spider-Man. One of the many versions. I think that was what when Doc Octopus
I
Went
am.
inside Peter Parker's brain or some bullshit.
He was deep inside Peter Parker's
Because
brain.
Herman's head with fucking Sinister Six, you know? I don't know, guys. I don't read the comics. I only remember at the time because when he died, Dr. Octopus at the time, his redesign looked an awful lot like a little something I had put together. That was very interesting to make him a paraplegic with glowing eyes. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
What are the odds? I'll just assume that great minds think alike, but I know the internet, you know?
Once it's out there, everybody sees it.
Well, I mean, look at this guy. His back piece. I've not done it here, but his back piece actually connects to. If you go look at my 2009 Spider-Man redesign, and you look at the superior Spider-Man costume, and that Doctor Octopus that came forward. I mean, I don't know, Brandon. You know, it's conspiratorial at this point. But it looks awfully familiar. I guess I could care less. It was funny when I was doing like my Stephen Platt stuff. People are like, "Oh, that leg. Rob doesn't know how to draw anatomy." I'm like, "No, I'm drawing a Stephen Platt 1994 leg, dumbass. I
Right.
fucking draw anatomy." It's really not hard to draw a realistic leg, guys. It's this other shit that's hard, you know? Like I have to really kind of work out what the hell's going on there, you know? My favorite Spider-Man is obviously, McFarlane and Gil Kane to because McFarlane's influence. And then one piece of Spider-Man art. It's one piece. And it was the cover to Wizard, I think it was issue 36. It was a Spider-Man cover that Casada drew. And Casada era 91, 92, 93, around there, up until probably the first two runs on Daredevil, you know?
Hmm.
That's my kind of shit, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like that's comic book, solid anatomy, good storytelling, you know? I mean, the storytelling in Ash was fucking. I don't know what the fuck was going on, but that was the script, not the art.
Right. Uh, I mean, Daredevil's always been my favorite superhero, but that Kevin Smith and Quesada run was that sealed the deal for me. I was like, this is it. This is what I want Daredevil to be. His life is shit. Just getting picked apart by these villains. The art was on point. Bullseye was a badass. I just
Yeah.
That was my favorite run.
So him and somewhere between him and McFarlane, Jeff Smith. I mean, I look at a lot of like how I naturally ink and draw. There's a
Hmm.
lot of there's a lot of Jeff Smith in my stuff, you know, especially my sense of humor. It'll come out more in Game Cave than it does here, but this
Scott.
one gonna be Copics or Sauce. This one's gonna be Copics.
Well, you cut me off there, sir.
Yeah, I see. Sorry.
It's okay.
I got so used to running my own show with you saying you're gonna be on every fucking 20 minutes.
Oh, one day. One day.
That's how I am.
One day.
That's how I am.
You live in minutes.
Yeah, it drives people nuts. Like, come on, Rob, you're in pain. No, I'm not in pain. I move quickly.
Well, you'll be over it by now. And then it was funny. I get on my computer, I restart it. I was making my soup, and then I go to get on, and my internet first when the screen was black, and then the internet wouldn't even load. I'm like, great. Like Rob's gonna think I'm bailing on him 2 days in a row.
Let me address something real quick. Scott, so you know, there will be a saucy version of this at some point. Um, anything that's a saucy now, starting with Batman on forward, anything that's a saucy is being created like this at a base level. Anything that's a Copic is being created like this at a base level. So if it's a saucy, at some point I will either turn it into a Copic or a completely digital painting. Probably in Batman's concern, it'll be colored completely digitally, you know, because I can save myself. I can do that all like in a day as opposed to 3 days. You know what I mean? But suffice to say, in reverse, if this is a Copic commission, in the case it is, I will be doing a saucy version of it, you know? Because it's not hard for me to take the root lines, get them put up on the board, and then paint it. You know what I mean? And that benefits me. So the extra effort in the lines means that I can just continue this on forward. So it comes back to me in positive ways.
And are you doing it this way just to keep a consistent look?
Consistent.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, well, the
Right.
saucy isn't consistent with the clean. You know what I mean? That's the end
Right.
style, but the base is the same no matter what. You know,
Right.
and there's no sense in doing Copics for something I did a saucy. It's better just to color it digitally because there's just no point. Like, none. None. The Copics, the Copic and the saucy take almost the same amount of time when you add everything up. You know,
Right.
so at that point, the only way I get some money back is when I just do a digital rendering of it. But I'm not going to do a digital rendering on top of a. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. If he's colored with Copics, I can tweak all of it, add the background digitally, then do the lighting fine. But I'm not going to recolor it
Right.
digitally. See what I mean? Like that would
Yeah.
make no sense. Because I know some people are like, I don't like the Aussie, but most people do. And it's this look that I'm not about just to give up because other people, you know what I mean? Like other people are doing it. It works. I know my ex fucking partner didn't much care for the look. I can give a shit less. I enjoy painting. And I really believe I figured out how, I mean, the sauces are getting better, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Batman one was great.
Yeah. But that's me taking my time and,
Right.
you know,
Jessica really liked the line work. She doesn't like as much of
well,
the
that's why there's going to be a
gray
clean
splash.
version of it,
Right.
you know? So there'll be a clean version of it. And the lines those will end up like in a sketchbook or something, you know? I don't know about line art prints, man. Like I used to say, oh, I'll do it myself, but I don't want to be printing 400 of those.
Right.
And they don't move enough to warrant running prints. So that to me is just where it ends up in the sketchbook. Probably a reason to buy the sketchbook, you know?
Yeah.
But I understand all those lines, and then you're like, oh, a lot of it gets lost in the fucking sauce. And I'm like, well, that's kind of the point. Like, that's why
Right.
most sauces don't look as good. It's not necessary, but it's a lot of the lines are there because it's a lot of detail, you know? But it's also easily transferable. You know? I tried this whole math where I'm like, oh, I'll just keep it simple. Like, there's a classic version, and then there's my combat armored guys, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't. This would make a fine saucy the way it is, you know. So can't do it on this paper. Mm-hmm. Now that isn't to say that I'm gonna sit here and be like, oh, I'm gonna wait on doing a PowerPoint until I have a saucy version and a color version of everything. You know what I mean? Like that, I'm not going to do.
Right.
So I have a plan of things I want to add, and then hey, if that also doesn't mean I gotta do a fucking clean version of Jason Todd and all these other characters. You know, like I'm just gonna do the ones I know ticket. You know, like
Right.
the clean Batman. You know, there's a clean fucking whatever. Maybe the Catwoman sold a lot or some shit like that, or you know. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like I gotta sign because the thing is, dude. I mean, the biggest mistake I think I've made production wise is like I can't just sign myself up for five of everything. You know, every time I do it, like it's just ridiculous. And what other artist does? You know, name one artist you're
Right.
like, yeah, fucking do fucking five of everything. You know, like that's not my thing, guys. Like, you know, I craft these sets, and I don't mind doing one new set and like a noir alternative. You know, because that's graphic design. But when it comes to physical production, hey, I'll color the Batman clean, you know, and maybe the Joker and Harley Quinn or some shit like that. But it might be over time too. Like I did the Batman, and then I did Spider-Man, and then I did this, you know. And then if people start
Yeah.
requesting, then I know next time I can do another clean one, you know, of something. But it's like the Star Wars. I'm not gonna just come out with the set too. I'll probably do one or two new ones here and there, you know. I got a definite commission for the Darth Maul with robo legs, you know. So rest assured, that's gonna get the supreme fucking hookup, you know, because I know it'll look fucking dope,
Right.
and people will end up digging it. And it would look good as a saucy. It would look good as whatever down the way too, you know. So
Did you ever think about doing this, like the Boba Fett as a saucy, or was that just
yeah, I thought about it, just haven't had a way to. See, the problem is I don't have straight lines
right?
with those things. You know what I mean? Like they were literally were a really rough that I printed out and drew and inked on a board and shaded all at once. I need really clean open lines to do it. So
Otherwise, it gets like messy and jumbled, or
yeah, it's a whole thing. So I have to literally whatever I do, if I do a Star Wars saucy, it has to be new, you know? Or I have to go back over what I did before and redraw it digitally, you know? At that point, it may as well be new.
all right.
So, I'm not completely keen on just sitting around drawing the same characters every time I go to do a power print, though, you know?
Right.
So it's not high on my list. But if I only did, like, if I did a saucy, Darth Maul, then yeah, I would definitely do a Boba Fett just so I had at least a contrast. I could see that, And then that would be that. I'd move on with life. I find that the heroic women just don't look very good in saucy, you know? Like, the Catwoman will be, I'm gonna work on that. Like, what can I do? What's the threshold? Like, I want it to look good. Like, I like the way I colored the Buffy. I wouldn't draw them cartoony like that. You know what I mean? So there's some medium somewhere, but just running fucking shit off the paper and having mascara runs on everyone isn't,
Right.
conducive to everybody. And I ran into that when I did that Final Fantasy, 13 piece. That might be enough for the brush. I can move on to the nib. Clean the brush off. Otherwise, the ink dries pretty quick. But like I said, I do have other stuff I want to do. I'm not gonna sit here and endlessly repeat drawing the same characters just to get it right. That's madness. The jam pieces I think are where I can also stand to grow quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And you know,
Right.
just hey, here's Age of Apocalypse jam piece.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, as opposed to one of every character. And then it just goes in the mix and match shit, and
Right.
that has to deal with the back end that I'm building right now. That
I like the game cave one you showed me for your on the PDF you sent me the other day with
which
all the
one?
video game characters, where it's got like
The 3DS.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the what I'm talking about.
yeah, I like that.
I mean, that stuff isn't easy to draw, but that's where I get my money's back on the digital. Because
Right.
try to draw all that shit. Like, it's not even drawing little stuff. It's the line art is almost impossible to get, without killing yourself. You'd have to draw it twice as big. Certainly not on 11 by 17.
Right.
But yeah, I can then add little plushies or fucking add characters, throw in a digital background. So GameCube will be made up of like 5 of those kinds of pieces plus the cover art, and or 4 of those pieces plus the cover art, something like that. I have it worked out, and then digital art, complete digital on the inside, like the Mortal Kombat, like the Killer Instinct shit I showed you.
Uh huh.
Like I said, a better version of that, but like that, where it's good enough on the inside and I can throw a little sticker texture over it or something,
Right.
you know, or landscapes, or the simple like wireframe drawings of the characters acting in digital backgrounds, like it's production art as opposed to me doing all Copic arts for the interior, which I don't think is necessary. I
No,
mean,
it's
an
not.
MVC piece would work better as a jam piece than 5 individual characters because you can't touch everything.
Right.
And I'm not gonna have girls sitting there posing with a million plushies every time I go to do Game Cave. So that's not happening. All right, pop that out a little bit. Ink always has a different texture, though. That's for certain. Like when you feel it, after it dried.
Right.
This is a strictly inking brush I have here. I do never use this brush for watercolors. Once you use this stuff for inking, you can't share it with something else. Like,
Right.
I'll let that dry for a second, then I'll start the nibs and practice. Make sure the ink is gonna flow. All right, so come on, Rob. It's annoying. It's not what I intended to do. Come on! What the fuck is going on?
You ever push down too hard with that and almost rip the paper?
No, I don't press hard when I draw like you do. I told you it comes from frustration. I got out of that when I learned how to paint and draw on the Cintiq. Drawing on the Cintiq means I don't have to press hard.
Right.
Pressing hard doesn't get you anywhere. So it used to be a bad problem of mine, but a lot of that comes from frustration. You know, if you're stressed, you're pressing down.
I've lightened up a bit since you made me draw in front of you. I was like, yeah, I'll calm down.
Watch how red your knuckles get when you draw. It's fucking hilarious. It's like you're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna give yourself carpal tunnel. Yeah, I don't get knuckle pain like I used to when I was 19. I mean, I can get wrist fatigue from just, repetitive tasks, but I don't press hard. And with this, I mostly just want to draw at the very tip. It's really just feeling comfortable with it, you know?
Right.
Some school out in Austria, I think, hit me up today. Wanted to use one of my landscapes in their student something or other. So I was like, absolutely. Well, you're welcome to fly me out to give a speech.
Right.
You know?
I do live
Totally
seminar.
available. You don't have to charge me. You just give me a place to stay. You know? Let's try that again. Wow, it doesn't want to flow that way. Must be some. You ever find a spot on your paper where things just don't want to go, and it works everywhere else, but that one spot, you're like, what's going on with that?
Right.
Yeah, I'll be doing a lot more landscapes here soon.
For the book.
Not just for the book, just because I know there's business. I'm tired of fucking dude telling me, oh, well, not this time, I don't know. Yeah. It'll work, but it needs to be like Mario. I'm like, it just be a generic landscape. You know what I mean? I could just invent a fucking landscape. You know? Doesn't have to be
Right.
Sonic's background. I can literally just paint something that is relaxing to me. You know? And people will like it if you can believe that shit. As evidenced by the highest fucking ticketing videos I got on YouTube, you know? Are my speed paints. Landscapes.
I remember when you first started doing them with the trees and the all that stuff. I was like, yeah. I was like, I want to buy one of those. They're like, yeah, I'm just doing it to mess around. I was like, no, those are badass.
Yeah, so but I mean yeah, they'll be in Game Cave, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
but not all, you know? Like
So I was talking to a buddy of mine who's an artist, and I was just telling about Phoenix Con, and he didn't make it this year to get a table, like he couldn't get it in time. And I was like, yeah, you're not missing out on too much. I go, they got some weird shit going on. And he was like, what? And I was telling him about that panty and stocking party. He's like, holy shit. He goes, they're just begging for trouble this year. I was like, yeah. And then he's like, yeah, I heard you and Rob, because he's listened to your podcast. And he's like, talk about how they put Artist Alley way in the back and, knock off lightsabers in the front. I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, that always baffled me too. It's good to hear someone, say it out loud for everyone to hear.
you ever notice how artists don't want to complain? Because they don't want to
Right.
rock the boat.
Right.
You know? You won't hear Mike go on a podcast and be like, hey, you know, and I understand. Well, I get mine, so what do I care? I'm like, it's fucking wrong. Like, and I've been watching this since I was a kid. It's not like I just got jilted or something, you know? I'm some like artist who didn't get his fucking thing, and now I'm like, no, fuck these guys. It's really simple. If you want to know what Comic Con supports artists, you show me the one where they're in the front or they're being billed as a reason to go. And
Right.
that answer is none. Yeah. I mean, when Adam West is still getting billing, it's like, really? The overlines are where I'm still not where I was with pens, but most people can't tell the difference, so I don't care.
The witch lines?
I call them overlines, where I add these little extra lines that kind of go outside the
Oh,
pen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. When I first saw, I don't know, saw them, I thought at first they were a mistake. Like you maybe went too fast, but then, after watching you, then I saw you did it on purpose.
Yeah, no, it's something I do. I like the way it looks. Keeps it from looking like like something. Oh, I got that in a comic book. It's funny. Um, that thing that's not perfect, that's a mistake, right? Like, no, it's really much easier just to trace over, you know, your
Right.
lines and not do anything extra. But why do you think a lot of the people when they ink stuff, there's no energy? You know, you need bursts of energy in your stuff,
Right.
and they're going to come from quick, energetic lines. They're not going to come from slowly, like that's not going to add energy. It does get easier. Who are you typing to?
Oh, I was promoting your page.
Okay, nice comeback, but who are you really talking to?
My friend Chad, he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "Hey, I'm on the SketchCraft Google chat right now." And he said, "I don't know who that is." And I said, "He's my good friend Rob. You should check out his page and follow his YouTube page." Also, and then you stopped me.
Right.
I forgot to hit mute. But I did interrupt you with promotion, and he likes to share a lot of artist stuff, so that's good.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay. Yay.
I did
And
good.
I want a copy. You send me a receipt proof. I'm also like China. I want proof that that's the truth. Don't believe you.
Let's see right
Meanwhile, Brandon's really ordering Domino's. You know?
No, I just had soup and going to Grimaldi's later. It's a
Oh
brick
my
oven
god.
pizza place. Like you really like it's nice, fresh toppings, really delicious. Kind of like an upscale pizza place, I guess, with like a wine bar and all that. But you got a free birthday. It's your birthday, you get a free pizza because they want you to come in, buy a salad and wine and whatnot. But because today's my birthday,
Yeah,
so
happy birthday, Brandon. No.
yay! You gonna sing to me?
No.
Oh,
I will give you the same treatment I expect on my birthday. Not much. Get back to work. Enjoy your pizza.
all right.
Go draw something. That's a real gift to yourself.
I'm drawing right now. I'm doing 3D head busts. I'm practicing women mostly this week because I have trouble with I mean, a lot, but what I notice that really starts to bug me is the length of their shoulders from the neck. I feel like I make that too long.
The proportions.
Yeah, so just pulled up a couple 3D bust models and working that out.
There's something on the fucking end of that nib. We're not having any of that. Amazing. SketchCraft, as seen on the internet.
Right? I put find him on Google, Facebook, iTunes podcast, and share his YouTube. I even sent you a picture of the typing on your iPhone 1.
Switch to 3G.
I know, just being a dick.
Like I care what people think about my fucking cell phone. You only got this. I'm like, yeah, I don't have. You know what else I don't have? I don't have a fucking $200 fucking cable bill. I have a PC hooked up to my TV. You know?
Right.
And when your fucking super phone is literally the free 99-cent plan, that's when I'll jump on board because I don't fucking care. I am not getting into that shit. Every year I get to spend $600. Kiss my ass. No, you just, with your plan, and I don't want a plan. The plan is to always give the phone companies the least amount of money. That's the plan. So you have to remember not to press too lightly. Have the complete opposite effect with these nibs. I don't know why it doesn't want to go that way. So annoying. I have to learn that too. Like, it wants to go a certain way, and I'm used to inking another way. Just time in.
Right.
But going back to using the pen is not an option. Not gonna get good if you give yourself an out. Alright, I think that's ready for shading. Hey, it's not even 3 yet. Good time.
Nice.
I'm gonna go grab a snack while this dries for about 5 minutes.
You just gotta leave it running.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab it out the fridge. Just literally, it's something I have in the fridge.
All right.
Grab one of my bars. I'll be right back. All right. Put that up there. Clean the nib off. Right. So I'm gonna do some shading here with my red pencil. I have tried cutting this process out right here. It didn't work so well. See, where I don't think I'm ready, well, actually that's not true. See, like, the Judge Dredd is something that I did, and like, I drew that really basically, in the
Uh,
computer, like really at a construction level and finished it off on the board. I'm not at a point right now to ink, like, a rough drawing like that. You know what I mean? Like, and then pencil. Like, I don't think I'm ready to do all those little lines together with the nibs yet.
right.
So at some point I will be, but that might take a year or so. So in the meantime, I compensate with doing it digitally, basically. Because I look at that dread with all those details, and I'm like, I don't know if I would have done it like, you know what I mean? Like, if I did it digitally, would I have drawn that much? Don't know. I don't have answers for that. Guess I'll find out when I get to drawing a dread. I might pick a more dynamic pose and have to just sit there and draw a bunch of shit. you know? All right, so start blocking in some shadows. And this is really just for lighting. It's not lighting and then little muscle details and shit. It really helps when I go to color it with the Copics. I've tried to like cut this part out and it really does affect the Copic. So I imagine he's underlit a little bit, like and it's not 100% accurate. It's just really so it looks cool enough. I can really punch in and dial in lighting with the digital side.
So I shared your page with probably like, I don't know, 50 people right now, through the invite thing. Excuse me. And then someone said, yeah, they liked it. And they're like, hey, is that your page? I was like, no, it's my buddy Rob. He goes, oh, is he interested in cross promotion? I'm like, not at all. Sorry. Because he was like, yeah, share my page, I'll share his. I was like, no. I go, this is just me sending out invites as a friend. He goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of selfish. I'm like, not really.
No, I just don't have the time.
Yeah, and I'm not gunking SketchCraft page up with go check this person out. I tried all that with Josh and Kirsten Huey and all those fucking cats. I played it their way. But
Well, shit, I used to promote your page so much, people thought it was my shit. And they're like, oh, it was really good. I'm like, no, it's not mine. This is mine. And they're like, oh, yeah.
you should team up more often. That was my and I like Brianna. I do. I genuinely think her and her husband are good people. I just was like, nah, you're pissing me off, Brianna. like, uh, and it's not like you accepted that. You're like, no, really, it's not. That's why that was funny. You guys should team up more often. The artist ego in me was like, really? You think that?
Yeah, my buddy goes, yeah, I can see how Rob's art kind of influences yours. And I was like, yeah, I kind of joke say I'm his protege because I get a lot of comparisons here and there. And I was like, he goes, oh, that's cool. He's all, good things helping you. I was like, yeah, I would kind of bust my balls a lot. It's kind of like a kung fu master. He won't praise me. He'll hit me on the head with a stick though.
I praise you when you do good shit. So do more good shit, you get more praise.
Right.
So when I give you advice and I know you're not taking it, you're just like, oh, I did that one time. I'm like, come on, dude. I have skirted around everything there is. I know
Right.
all the tricks. I know all the, yeah, I did that. Plus, I've worked with so many people. I mean, Joe's the quintessential guy who's like, yeah, I totally apply perspective once in my life, and you know,
Yeah.
like he wants so hard sometimes to help me be an artist, like every now and then. Like when he saw me using the nibs, he's like, "No, make sure you use the brush for." I'm like, "Joe, I know, like the same. You see me using the brush and nib the same way I use the pens. You know what I mean? Go look at the fucking Copic pens and look at this, and I defy you to tell me what the different process is here. And I
Right.
just find it funny when it's like, Joe, you can't like that skeleton piece I did back in the day is all with a micron. You know, 0.05. I did it all with one pen because I was like, I don't know how to use other pens, so I just did it all night with one pen. And I'm like, Joe, you can't even do that shit with the pen, so don't fucking tell me. Like, I get you're trying to help yourself. Learn how to draw. It'd be like me trying to give Alex Ross fucking watercolor tips. Now make sure you use a fucking I don't really think Alex Ross needs to hear my opinion on watercolor. You know? I mean, if I was friends with Alex Ross and he wanted to give me advice, I sure as shit wouldn't be like, fucking what does he know? I don't even like his style anyway. I mean, uh, but how are you supposed to get good in 6 months? Like, I'm the one telling you, like, this is a year plan.
Right.
2, 3, 4, 5 year plan. So the question is, do you realize this now or 5 years from now? That's your choice. Like, which one do you want it to be? Because at some point it's gonna dawn on you what I'm telling you is the truth. So what do you want? Do you want to be ready at 35 or 45?
Right.
Nothing's changing this. Like, if you don't believe me, just keep going to con and pitching yourself to publishers and watch what happens. The only guy you're going to be able to dig up are either the guys that are so desperate they need anyone and they're not going to like anything you do, and they're going to try to mold you into something that you can't really do and it's going to drive you nuts and them mad and waste of time. Or they're just going to take whatever you do and not pay you for it because you're not worth paying to them. I mean, I've been through that. I remember when I got my first paying gig ever outside of like shit at high school, right? Like
Hmm.
I went to con and I was pitching I just literally, dude, like I just didn't have comic book pages, so I didn't bother trying to do that. I was just showing guys, hey, would you like to look at something I drew? Tell me what you thought. And so I had like two pieces that I drew and inked.
Hmm.
It's kind of a pointless thing to do at con. I was trying to do something without directly actually applying myself, put it that way. And this guy, Terry, I think his name was, he was running the Tekken comic, was getting ready to launch. Some
Uh,
independent company got the Tekken license, like a Malibu type, you know? And he's like, you like Tekken, man? I'm like, fuck, I love games, dude. So he's like, yeah, man, we totally need to ink her on the book. You'd be great. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. Stayed in touch. You know, he's like, yeah, yeah, totally. I got fucking like $20, and they never ran my shitter. They found someone else. Like, I did a horrible job. It was all done through the mail.
right.
I would get a phone call. We laugh at that, the phone call, because it's like, you know,
Right. That's damn near obsolete now. It's like,
yeah.
don't call me, hang up and text me or email me. What the fuck are you doing? People get mad now if you call. It's like, what do your text messaging don't work? Your email broken? You don't have Wi-Fi right now?
And I just said, you know what, I'm just not there. And beyond just being technically proficient in terms of art, I just wasn't there mentally to handle deadlines or responsibility, you know?
Right.
Like I was responsible like running my dad's business, but as an artist, there's way too much like, oh, I want to be this and I want to be that. I'm like, I'm just not responsible enough for this right now, so I'm gonna skip that little thing I did there. So, but yeah, I remember that. I told everyone, oh, we're gonna take in comics. Shit came out, wasn't my shit, and I didn't get credit, but I got $20 out of it.
Enough for a pizza.
Enough for it. Hence the advice I give,
Hmm.
and I did. I got a pizza. I got the stuffed crust when that shit was new because I had just quit my job at Pizza Hut. I was addicted to eating their pizza every night. But I mean, I think back to like when I sold that book to Image, Mosaic, there was a lot of questions in my head. I was like, so how do I get paid? You know? And Adam was like, well, that's really on me. They don't really supply. Because I was like, I don't know how this works. At the time, I was like, so when Image buys your book, does Image have like a bank vault? They pay you per page? And it's like, no. They agreed to publish your work. You have to pay, or Adam in this case had to pay. And then I had to have deadlines. And he's like, well, can you meet this? And I was doing everything. And I was like, I don't know how to meet a deadline doing everything.
Right.
you know? Why didn't we just go and finish the whole thing before you've sold it? Like, even he wasn't thinking like that.
Right.
He produced that one book I wanted to do villains with Ryan Cody, and Ryan, doesn't give a shit what his stuff looks like. He just draws. So, over at Viper. And I was like, I was all like, I'm not drawing like that. And he's like, well, you got to work out how you got to understand this is a marathon, not a sprint. And every page doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm like, but you know what I'm doing? You know what? The first of many mistakes in trying to draw comics. The only real answer for me is just to never do it.
Right.
Find another way.
Excuse me.
That's the life trying to come back from all the junk food.
That's me choking on the smell of all these markers I'm using.
Reaching for air.
Uh, uh.
Right.
I would like to, for people who haven't seen me that listen to the podcast regularly, I'd like to see their sketches or ideas of what they think I look like just from all the
Do you
all the
think any
dis-
of them are gonna look like some model? Like,
no, but I
like, you're
want
like, Rob, I used to model. I'm like, dude, I really don't care, and I don't want to have this conversation with you. Like, I like you a lot as a friend, but I don't really want to hear about your modeling career. Like, I'm just not in the mood for this. And yet, I am totally not surprised by this conversation. Like,
I was a kid though. That was the joke of
uh,
it.
yeah, yeah. So, like I said,
Obviously not as an adult. It was like it was
it's
like
the funniest fucking thing. I used to be a model, man. And then I'm just like, Zoolander, like.
so
uh,
I had fun joining you today.
if I don't bring up the weird shit you tell me in confidence, then there's no action on this podcast. You'll just sit there not talking.
Really enjoy my birthday today.
You
Yay!
should. I think it's an awesome way.
Instead of being outside right now, enjoying
Enjoying
the outside life.
like you would have been outside.
I thought
That
about
was
sitting
my
inside
fault.
for a bit.
I'm the guy who's been holding you back.
It's not too hot out today for an Arizona day. It's got a little breeze out.
You're right. All your troubles have been my fault. You totally would have just been out hiking mountain man style if it wasn't for me
I'm gonna.
chaining you to the desk, becoming.
I'm glad your phone gets pictures. I'm gonna send you a nice picture. Where's it at?
I decided that when I get to Game Cave issue 3, volume thing, I don't like the word issue. Issue implies more. When I get to volume 3, I will have a Chrono Trigger piece, but I'm not doing 5 fucking Chrono Trigger characters. That Magus will just end up in the sketchbook somewhere, you know?
Right.
Like I'll do a jam piece, and that is that.
Hmm. Oh man.
So what you're essentially telling me is you were like a little rascal.
No, I was good. I was good looking. I'm looking at my. I'm looking at my
You're
seat.
looking at the you're the 1982 brother from Napoleon Dynamite at this point. You know that like I was good looking. I was high school football coach, high school football champion for the dark times, for the Mountain Dew. You know what got me? Gallons of ice cream. No, honestly, I think what got me the most was how affordably cheap McDonald's cheeseburgers are. Like, there used to be some pride I would get by ordering with $4 I get like 20 cheeseburgers or some shit. And it would be this massive sack of cheeseburgers and I'd be like, that's right. I'm eating these today. I cut you off though, what were you saying?
Uh, I was just. I. Where am I at? Oh, I was just looking at my senior year. I was 17. Soccer pitcher, jawline, full set of hair, clean shaven, no nothing, just skinny, ripped, just like hating me. I
High
could
school
see,
football coach.
I could
High
see,
school football pig.
I could see my Adam's apple.
You see your Adam's apple. Do something about it, bro.
Mm,
No. That's the thing that kills me.
um, but I will send you a picture just because I know you don't
Right
care.
now.
I know you don't care, but I'm gonna do it anyways,
Right, McFly.
just to show you that at one point
At
this guy
one
was
point, there was hope.
I was skinny. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? Oh man. Uh, and on that note, I missed a call from the wife. She's on break. You're gonna be doing this for a little longer? How longer?
Yeah, a little longer.
All right. Probably take about
Yeah.
5 minute call or so. So I'll be right back.
That's Scott, I just settled on the one I started off with. If you see that there's a silhouette on the Facebook page, literally I just sketched that in. I already kind of knew what I wanted to do from the beginning. So what I'm using here is an HB pencil to bring in the shades, the darker area of the costume. And this just helps provide texture when I go to do the Copics as well. It serves another purpose.
I have returned. Yay!
We were all wondering. Kind of pizza you gonna get, Brandon? Hmm.
Um, Probably ricotta cheese and mushrooms with a little bit of garlic. I'm fat, so I already plan ahead. I already got a
Oh,
game
I know,
plan.
I know. That's what I'm
I already got a
saying.
game plan.
You don't have to explain to me how this works. I know.
I'm ready. I go in there and I'm like, menu.
And
You
you see
know,
the menu. You ever just flick it off? I don't. Come on now. Yeah.
yeah. Come on, guys.
I've been there.
I'm
You're just
clearly
like
not a rookie. You see this body. Come on, girl. I know. I know my way around here.
menu.
Won't be needed
Should
here.
be titled a women you. Men don't. Yeah, guys don't use menus. I made the mistake once. I went on this. I always see this thing where it's like, hey, men should. You want to assert some fucking awesomeness. Order for the woman on a date. And I remember thinking, I'll try that. And it went horribly wrong. Like, I was like, yeah, this will be kind of cool. I went to it's like at an Olive Garden. I remember when I was younger. I was like, I'll just try. And it was like I ordered everything she hated. Like,
That's funny.
and it ruined nothing could get past the fact that she just blew me off and just ordered whatever. Like, like fucking fuck life, dude. Just trying to, fuck.
That's funny. The shit that goes wrong during dates.
It's another time and space. I guess you have to have about $1 billion before you start ordering for chicks. You know,
Right.
you got a lot of money to get away with that move. Now I learned my lesson. It's discovery. What do you like on the menu? Oh, that looks great. Oh wow, it's a much better way to play it. But I just remember going, well, it's gonna be a slow, horrible dinner.
This dating advice was brought to you by SketchCraft.
Yeah. My
SketchCraft
my
is.
answer to those kinds of moves when I was younger was just say, "Hey, I'm gonna use a bathroom," and just like inadvertently leave a 20 on the table and never come back. I used to be that guy.
Oh man.
I did not pay for the meal. I left plenty. If the tab was 30, I left 20. If the tab was fucking 60, I left fucking 40. But
This
never, never come.
SketchCraft is not held responsible for having a bad date or things
Hey,
going.
I'm not that guy. I'm just letting you know how I used to operate. And I've been told that's horrible, and I'm like, yes, but that's what I did.
It very well could be horrible, but hey, it happened.
I left the girl at the bar once with the guy. She was insistent on letting him buy drinks for her, so I just used the bathroom and left her. And it was a blind date. I took her there too. I
That's
left her
funny.
there. I'm like, you like him so much, get a fucking ride home. I'm going home. It's stuff I would never do now. Like, I've really matured in my age. When I was younger, I was just like, you know what? I got mine. I'll laugh about this.
Brandon James does not condone this kind of talk and will not be held responsible.
You're married. What do you care?
Oh, I was a horrible. I was a horrible male.
When I
In
was
my,
really younger, I would say 17, 18, I mean, if I got into an argument, I would just start making fun of a girl. Like I remember these are all horrible behavior, and myself too. Like, don't think I was mean to like the girl. I'd be going, I'm fat, and you're fat. Like, we're a fat couple. Like, you see this food we just ate? We didn't even care. Look at this. Like, I was I think artists sometimes, I don't know. Like, I know for me, I had this like pent up anger at the world, you know, because like life wasn't just like working the way I imagined it. I had to learn the hard way that, man, life doesn't care. You know, little kids get their fucking limbs blown off in Bosnia. You know, so like just because you fucking want to be a good artist and you're not, that's on you. You know, life isn't
Right.
gonna guarantee that shit. So I mean, these are all mistakes you make, but I think it's shit people don't even talk about. You know, let alone on like a art podcast. Well, how does that affect your art? Well, if you're living with someone and you want to draw for a living and you spend your entire time letting them know how stupid they are for sitting there and letting you do this, so you're probably not going to get far, you know? But I just remember never order for people you don't know, you know?
Right.
Like I love pineapple on my pizza, but I'm like one of 30 people I know, you know, that you know, like out of 30, I'm the only guy. Put it that way.
I
Can't say that
like
right.
when I get Papa John's, which is few and far between, but that's a pizza I like. I'll get mushroom and pineapple.
I don't eat Papa John. Don't eat that shit. Make your own pizza if that's the case.
Well, like I said, I will
Bro, you
get
don't even have to get a bread maker. You could just go get a loaf of fucking bread, French bread, from the store, man. You know, get
so
some Rouse tomato sauce, see about 7, 10 bucks, you know, and some Mott's and your own fucking veggies. Fry them up, put them up on that shit, and let it sit in the oven for 20 minutes. It'll be way better. Coat the edges with a little olive oil, a little garlic powder. You know what I mean? Don't eat that fucking that Papa John's is not food, dude. It's stucco. Like, like
so
they're
like
not
like
ingredients.
I was saying is I also enjoy pineapple on my pizza.
Yeah. You don't eat pizza. You eat Papa John's. It's not pizza. It's
Hey,
ridiculous.
better ingredients,
Better ingredients? No, it's not.
better
It's
pizza.
plastic. Wrapped
Papa
around a
John's.
reddish out exterior, you know? You want garlic butter, just melt some butter with some garlic in it, dude. Like, you know, put a couple cloves, drop it in a little cup of olive oil for about 5 minutes, and you got garlic olive oil. Like, dude, Italian food or faux Italian food, Americanized Italian food, is about the single most overpriced, under underbuilt food there is. You know what I mean? Like what you're paying and what you're getting is ridiculous.
Uh,
You know, and you're never getting fresh ingredients. I don't believe any of it.
8 people have accepted my invite to like SketchCraft. Yay! So how many people accepted did like my page? 7 also. No wait, no, I'm reading the wrong thing. 1, 2, 3.
You see how I'm able to get all this little extra detail, muscle tone and stuff? I
Uh-huh.
can't just do that with markers alone, dude. Like I
Okay.
see people like they don't do this step and then they just use a marker and they're like, I'll never get it as good as raw. I'm like, you know, I'm not trying that hard with the color, right? I'm not adding tons of muscle definition with the color. It's all done in this phase, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And because it's printed out and tonalized, it's just really I'm just blending color when I go to do color. Josh had this whole plan for metallics on power prints, and I finally figured he never took care of the vendor. I was like, "What's going on with that?" He wouldn't tell me. So now that I know who we were supposed to do it through, I'm looking at the pricing for these things. I'm like, "You got to be out your fucking mind, dude!" Like, I'm literally gonna be like, "Look, whoever got one of these can either get a base refund or I can send them some prints that are signed." You know, like I'm not fucking gonna print metallics up. I don't even know what the hell this guy was thinking when it comes to that. I'm like, what the fuck?
Too
They
much.
don't look that cool, dude. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they don't look that cool for what we would be like. Fuck all that. So I'm like, I can send you guys a pack of 5. You know?
I think it was just too much too soon. Like it should, it should have just been kept to basic. you got the prints, you get them out, you know.
Oh no, no, Canvas I was cool with. The people we
Right,
got
that,
working
yeah.
there and everything else. But it wasn't too much too soon. He just didn't do the fucking work. Like he had plenty of time to do it.
Well, I mean, like shirts, and wasn't there going to be coins or something too? And
Dude, don't even get me started on that shit. Like that's got nothing to do with me.
oh, okay,
But the t-shirts I never wanted to do. That's just he's like, dude, that shirt's dope. People would want to buy that. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't. I mean, I will do t-shirts in the future with this new vendor. If the quality is as good as I like, but
hmm,
they'll be $40 a pop. You know what I mean? So if you want to get a t-shirt from me, when I do them once or twice a year, they'll be $40. Otherwise I could care less. But $25, like, I literally end up just owing money on taxes. It's a lot of work for nothing,
all right,
you know. But this metallic shit's ridiculous. So I got a whole Kickstarter update I got to do, and where I'll be like, look, because he did give away on PowerPrints 3 a whole fucking everyone gets a free 5x7 metallic, and I'm like, you're out your fucking. And I'm looking at the math. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? He must have thought like that was going to somehow like triple, quadruple. You know what I mean? The funding.
all right,
I don't know, dude. I don't know. We don't talk, so the hell I know. All I know is that's not true. Like, I'll give everyone 11x17 Spider-Man before I fucking do these. The metallics are grossly overpriced. Like it's not a viable. It's not a viable business structure. You know,
hmm,
not for me. Like maybe for Marvel. You know, so I haven't signed anything in the last year. So I'm gonna be like, look, I will send an 11x17 Spider-Man, and I'll sign every one of these fucking things. You know.
all
And if you
right,
don't like that, then you can get a refund because I am you couldn't convince me, you know, to pay for this shit. Nothing on God's green earth, and it wasn't my plan to begin with. So everything I'm making good on, but those metallics is where I draw the fucking line. It's like fuck that. I would have to charge almost $100 per metallic to make that viable. That's how crazy it is, you know,
hmm.
per one. I guess nuts, dude. But in terms of like when we launched and what could have gotten done, the amount of people who bought stuff, none of that was too much. It was all doable. I just didn't do it. Told me it was getting done, and I could see the money was spent on buying everything. Luckily, he didn't buy the metallics. I know why. Now I know why the metallics weren't bought.
Right.
I can tell you why the metallics weren't bought because fucking they're for the so ridiculous. And I hate doing that, but I'll probably have to throw in that digital sketchbook I did last summer too. Like some of you already have this, most of you don't. So here's a bonus. But now that I'm in charge of my own shit again, that will never happen. Alright, go here and halo some of this stuff. What time is it? 3:43. Making good time.
Making copies.
Technically a day behind because of my late getting started thing, but well, really, I thought this would take. I'd get digitally drawn, inked, and shaded in one day, but I knew that was stretching it.
I
And
slowed you down this morning.
I knew trying to design, draw, ink, and shade the whole thing in a 6 hour period was not going to happen. But I gave myself that. Well, let's see if I can do it. No, it's a 2 day thing.
Um, what's next after this one? Back to the Batman stuff, or are you gonna finish the
Well, the
Spider-Man?
Batman stuff was supposed to be working at night, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
but I went last night and just decided to finish this up, you know,
Hmm.
so I can move on with it. So tonight I'll start working on like laying out Batman shit again. Tomorrow I'll Copic this up, and that won't take 6 hours. That'll take like four. You
I
know?
think you already answered this question, and I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways, just for sake. Uh, Artistic choice or not coloring the eyes in black because just didn't want
Huh?
to. The eyes, aren't they solid black on this suit?
I'm gonna do it in color
Oh, like a dark purple or something?
because they're actually gray with black. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Whatever. I'll add the black and shadow with a
Oh,
Copic.
okay.
Not adding the black and inks.
Gotcha.
That's
Because
just ridiculous.
then that's just a solid. Right, and there's no glare. I got
Yeah, because it's a reflection, so I'm gonna want that not in.
you.
You
Right.
know. Look, if the person who gets this commission feels that specific about the line art having black eyes, then they're more than welcome to take a fucking pen and fill it in themselves.
Right.
The final piece will have fucking dark rim goggles. And I don't believe that, by the way, because if you look, half the Superior Spider-Man art, he has white eyes. You know, like it depends on who colored it that day. I get what he's supposed to have, but that depends on who drew it, who colored it.
Right.
Any of that fucking effort. For me, he will have this rim glossy eye thing, but it's being done in color. Yeah, Joey was asking me about that, and I was like, yeah, I know what I'll do in color. I don't, you know. Hey, so you know, he doesn't have red throughout his whole.
It's tinted.
And you know, this right here is supposed to be solid black, but see, I don't. That's where comic art falls flat for me. You know?
Right. Well, I mean that if you color it in all black, you can't add the well, you could add the white, but you won't have the glare and the tones or whatever you do, the haloing and
It has a painting has to be open. You know?
right,
So the black around the eyes are because I want to be able to see those eyes now in this piece. You know?
right. I mean, I notice it when you do Copic. You and I notice Todd Knock does it too. He does you call it the haloing, I guess.
Right.
Todd Knock does that too, but not a lot of artists do that when they're doing it. But you and him, you guys get how Copics work, though. You guys, I mean, you do more blending than him, but he still does the lights and the haloing, just not the blending of multicolors. His are more solid colors,
Right.
more, I guess, pop. Yes, I don't
I
know.
don't fucking know. I just do what I do, man. I don't sit with a bunch of people's artwork open when I'm working. You know? Sometimes when I'm concepting something, I might have a reference piece if I want to hit a certain look or if I just want to be inspired. But when I'm Copicing, I literally just have reference in terms of what color goes where, and I just like I literally just fucking color however it comes to me to do it. I don't really. That's why people when they see the Copic, they're like, "Where's the light source?" I'm like, "It's all over. There is no direct light source." If you try to do dramatic lighting with Copics, dude, you could be there a long time. That's all I'm saying. You know,
Right.
this 4 hour piece could turn into a 14-hour piece. I found that for me, it's better to just let the lighting be handled in Photoshop and just let this be a nice, nifty marker piece, you know? Like, yeah, it was that guy, Chris, somebody who does the black and white Copics where they're all super rendered, and I'm like, I don't need to do that, you know? Like, that's just overkill for me.
All right.
And the second you start applying color, it doesn't actually line up. Like, there's like, you know. And I'd rather look like me than a bunch of other people. But I couldn't have arrived at like any of that shit when I was 25, you know?
Right.
It's just time in. I think my coloring process with the Copics is more of a flicking thing. Like it's like, you know, similar to how I use like the watercolors. I should probably do the eyes with the fucking pencil so I don't hear about it now. Something tells me I'm gonna hear about it.
Right, right. As soon as you post the picture.
Something tells me I'll hear about it. Ridiculous. Venom isn't red, Rob. Look, I understand. When I shaded the Venom, I got that comment from someone. Like, I'm looking at the CG model, and his eyes are actually gray with dark rims, you know?
Hmm.
Like, I'm looking at the CG model in the fucking game. I don't care what is on some random comic, you know? But people, that's where I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter because people have an impression. So I'll just do this with pencil. That good enough?
Yes. Looks good.
Every time you mention some stupid shit like that, it comes back to haunt me.
Hey, man, I'm just looking out for you. It's
If
not.
you see me doing something about it, I don't have to fucking like it. You know,
It's
like,
it's not my opinion. It's what
yeah,
I know. It's what I know people will bitch about.
yeah, I know. Look, I fixed it. All right, is that
I'm
fixed enough?
I'm the public speaker.
I speak for the
I
users.
speak. I just know what people will bitch about when it comes to some stuff you do like that. It's. I do enough sketches and stuff at cons, and people, oh, you didn't add the right handle to his sword, or all that shit, or I don't know.
I know what it is. A bunch of stupid shit, but it doesn't matter if I like it or not. You know. See, I'm a guy who eats the vegetables he doesn't like first. You know how I came to love bread crust? I hated bread crust. Hated it. But my mother, when she was in my life, refused to let me fucking skimp on the crust. So I just ate the crust first, bro. You know, every time, the first thing I would do is eat the crust. Just deal with it right now, and so I can enjoy this fucking sandwich. Yeah, I did a whole podcast on it called "Eating the Crust." Uh huh. Go look it up.
I'll just get the cliff notes from you sometime.
Mhm. The short end of it is, I don't have to fucking like this, but it's gonna get done right. Like the Predator when I had to recolor it. Like I was like, Matt, I'm not mad at you. You know what I mean? I appreciate the business. I don't really like recoloring this shit twice, you know?
All right.
So, but I sold it. You're going to get a good job, you know? I'll see if there's any way I can improve upon it. But at the end of the day, my way through this is, well, I'm going to grumble and bitch about it the whole fucking time. You know?
All right.
Since I'm already acting like a child, I may as well just go full force. Just don't take it personal because I'm not mad at you, you know? Like, man, if I was mad at you, I wouldn't do this at all. Uh,
Like the Link sword.
that had no, I wanted to fix that from the very beginning,
All
you know?
right.
And that was someone, that was, Josh saying, we got to get this stuff out now. It doesn't fucking matter, you know? That's where Dave and I always, like, got along. No matter what the fucking deadline was, if someone's face was off just by a little bit. I remember when I did the Critters piece, I did Ratchet more like the concept art version of Ratchet, which it
Uh-huh.
doesn't look much like Ratchet if you've noticed. You ever seen the concept art for Ratchet and Clank?
No, I'd have to look it up.
He doesn't actually look like he does in the game in the concept art. It looks like a little cartoon version. It's close, but it's not really, the model.
Uh-huh.
And Dave was like, doesn't look like Ratchet. I'm like, no, it looks like the concept art. He's like, it doesn't look like, and I'm just like, fuck it, just fix the fucking face. Like, and I knew going into it that I was going to hear about it. That's why I always tell you, look, if that little voice in your head says this might be an issue, you know,
Mm-hmm.
remember when you were working on that shit the other night, and I was like, this might be an issue. Guess what? It's an issue.
Right.
So the question is, deal with it an hour later. But I just would have drawn that link all digitally, and it wouldn't have been an issue from the beginning, And
Right.
then done this process where I ink them in shade, you know. So that was me trying to do everything on the page, and then hey, when you do things on the page, how many covers from Marvel are drawn perfectly? You know what I mean? There's a lot of
Right.
shit that's fucked. I'm looking at a Superior Spider-Man cover, the A Avengers versus X-Men Magneto. The cape in the background's all fucked up, and Spider-Man's missing half his leg. Like his leg goes behind, and it just disappears. It doesn't actually
Right.
drew. You didn't draw any leg. And
I
so
know.
I'm like, huh?
I was say, yeah, I notice that a lot now that I'm working with Marvel. That I started going through to build the backgrounds of the layers, and they just maybe tucked away an arm or a leg that makes no sense of where it went, or
Yeah, a lot of this art is not as complete as you think it is. And I learned that doing T-shirts, tearing apart Marvel art. Like, whoa, they actually this coloring isn't as good as you think it is. Like, and that helped because it forced me to not try so hard on certain things. Like,
Mhm.
my coloring doesn't have to be 100% perfect. However, it did ring true. Like, the people that I generally really respected, more often than not, their shit was complete. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Joe Matt wasn't fucking not drawing some shit that needed to be there? So I always found that, well, it must be the guys that I fucking liked actually were applying themselves. you know?
Right.
And they ran into deadlines because they were like, I'm not gonna fucking not send that shit? Like Rob Liefeld doesn't miss deadlines, but there you go.
Old Liefeld.
Definitely gonna do that Youngblood piece. Well,
Da-da-da-da, that's all, folks.
I think that'll do it.
That'll do, pig.
Let me sign this fucking thing. I'll just use a pen. I don't care.
Here's the most important part. Here it goes. Yeah.
Shut up, Brandon. Like, gonna make me fucking laugh while I'm trying to draw. Just sign my fucking name.
All right. Fucking rip the page. Just all that time wasted. Shut up, Meg.
Shut up, Meg. All right, join me tomorrow when I actually color this sucker up. Brandon, got any plugs?
Yup, you can find me on Twitter at Lead Heavy, Instagram at Lead Heavy, and Facebook at Brandon James Art.
And always, you can find me at the Facebooks, Twitters, Instagrams, everything SketchCraft, Sketch, CRAFT, iTunes, podcast, YouTube, tomorrow, Copics, soon. See you then. Bye.